G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. For those of you that watched my Lightning F6 video, you'll definitely know that that was on the salty side. And whilst I don't like to make those sorts of videos, I feel like they are necessary to improve the quality of the game. Now, I'd like to take a look at a 9.7 today that is, in my opinion, quite well balanced. The J32B. It now sits at 9.7, and I genuinely think that that is a good spot for the J32. At first, I really didn't like this plane, which doesn't surprise anyone, to be honest, because I don't really take well to planes that don't turn well, because I'm a very aggressive type pilot. Now, this particular plane grew on me simply because of the meta. Now, you are able to basically out-energy your opponents in a lot of these dogfights, and that's what kind of got me feeling the Lightning, if you know what I mean. And got me feeling the Lanson as well. The Hunter, several other vehicles or other jets that I really previously did not take to quite well. Now, the Lanson has also been one of my more well-watched videos. The very first video that I did on it, it seemed like I really talked down the Lanson. But unfortunately, I was pretty crappy at my delivery, and I wasn't clear enough on the fact that the Lanson is a very, very good plane. It really is. It's got basically everything you would want in an advanced 9.0 level jet. Not a 9.0 jet, but definitely in that sort of ballpark where you're looking towards those, what I like to call 1100 jets. You see, you have your base jets like your Meteor Mark III, your ME262, and then you have the 8.0 level jets, like the F-84G, which is at 7.7, but is still in that ballpark, much like the Yak-30, much like the Yak-23, the Meteor Marks 4 and 8, the early G91s. They all roughly top out at either 1,000 kilometers an hour or have the energy retention and acceleration to sort of warrant being around those types of jets. And I like to call them 1,000 jets because they roughly go 1,000 kilometers per hour. The next step up is obviously the 1100s, and then the step up from that is supersonic, and then from that, Mach 2, which is pretty self-explanatory. And of course, there is some overlap, but I like to sort of segregate it into those types of positions, and the Lanson sort of sits in between that 1100 and supersonic, and it sits quite well at 9.7. As you can see, I'm able to rush in and sort of distract my opponents. You can see that Super Mystère there is turning around, and Super Mystères love to bleed speed in turns. So I'm going to happily let that guy turn around and then leave him in the dust because he's an absolute pepega, but that's okay, he'll learn, and he might end up actually learning the hard way. Anyway, the guy that is in green on the team, I believe, recognizes me, and so obviously he's going to fly towards me, but in a good way. He's going to try and help me out. Now that G91 has decided it wants his booty hole, so I'm going to send a missile. I'm going to make sure it's not in his sort of area, and the G91 is totally distracted and gets taken out. So I've got a Lightning behind me, and he manages to take out the Super Mystère, which, yes, he does end up learning the hard way. This is an absolutely beautiful display of 2v2 teamwork. Mad props to the F5 there. I really, really love to see it. It was just beautiful at the time, and it is still beautiful to this day. So, Hunter, I believe that is an FGA-9, but it could be an F1. I'm going to send a missile his way, and he realizes, so he pulls right out of the way. Now, as for the new missile warning, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but at this sort of tier, it is kind of manageable. Now, I do credit, and it turns out it is an FGA-9, so I'm going to keep my speed. I'm not going to turn into it. I'm going to maybe try and help out this F3H Demon, take out the Hunter, because again, the Lanson plays very similarly to the Hunter. So you're pretty much meant to sort of zoom around the map, take out those slow targets. And as you can see, the F3H managed to get a really nice kill on that Hunter. So it's back into the crowd that I go, and you can see that there is a fair amount of opponents that are left. And naturally, me being me, I want them all. I want to eat them all and get that RP. Yes, family-friendly content. That's exactly what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'm now in the predicament of picking a target, and this F-Saber kind of looks juicy. I think he's going to turn in for that F5 and head sort of towards the crowd, but it turns out he just sort of pitches himself in towards me, putting himself right in front of my guns and allowing me to try and get in on the inside. But because I'm such a fat boy, it does not turn nearly as well. But to sort of pick up my my scraps, the F3H Demon is right behind me. So that leaves me with a couple of options. Unfortunately, my F5 mate gets taken out by a MiG-15, which leaves me with a Scimitar who's doing more of those sort of aggressive head-ons. Please, ladies and gentlemen, do not do these. They are ridiculously cringy and they don't get you anywhere. If you're going to do them, I will say it again and again, you do not deserve to complain about repair costs if you do that. So, MiG-15 BIS is looking at my booty hole, and the Scimitar is sort of coming back. So the Lanson, being an afterburning jet, I'm going to put it into a straight line and try and get as much speed as possible. I managed to pick up the kill on that FGA, and I'm going to try and put a little shell into the Vautour over there, but he ducks underneath my guns, which is really smart, and then unfortunately, because he sustained damage, he crashes into the mountainside. So that is a really nice kill for, I believe it was, I can't actually read that. So we're going to pretend it never happened. Anyway, the Swift here is being chased by the A4B, and notice the types of targets that I'm going for. I'm going for targets that are distracted by a previous enemy, and this is exactly how you should be playing your 9.7s. You shouldn't be taking the fight and doing the defensive flying. You should be swooping in and trying to take out enemies that are distracted on your friendlies. Working as a team, and this is exactly what I didn't like about the Lanson, but when you have a team that actually does good things, like this team here, the Lanson is a fantastic plane to fly. It is a gem to fly. Honestly, I very rarely have better times than when teammates help you out in certain planes. It just absolutely makes your experience golden, and that is what keeps me coming back to War Thunder, honestly. A lot of people say, oh, War Thunder, dead game, not fun anymore, all this sort of stuff, and for some people, yeah, sure. But for me, that teamwork keeps me coming back. It sort of has me foaming at the mouth, not foaming, but drooling at the mouth, wanting more. And that match where you get it all is so rewarding, and it just makes me so happy to see it. I'm so glad to actually see a lot of teammates starting to do this again in top tier, or at least high tier, especially those that know me and my content, which I'm really, really thankful for. Keep it up, guys. You are doing a fantastic job, and it just makes the game a lot more pleasant. Anyway, this particular MiG-15 is the last guy left on the team, and if we get him, we're going to have 4 nice and juicy kills. So, what are we going to do? Well, it seems like he's taken a liking to the Swift, but is he going to turn off at the last second? It looks like he is going to go for an aggressive head-on. Now, this tells me that this particular MiG-15 is going to commit to head-ons. So, what do? I flip around and I try and encourage him to do a head-on. So the MiG naturally will go into a little bit of a vertical, and that means that he's going to come for a juicy little head-on. Well, I'll tell you what, you never go head-on with anything with 420mm cannons, because you might end up with a clipped wing. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is 100% what a 9.7 jet should look like. It should be that sort of slightly better than, but not grossly overpowered. I think the Lanson is in a really, really good spot, and it's just great fun to see this plane working with teammates. It's fantastic. I honestly love it. Keep it up, and we'll have ourselves a really, really wonderful matchmaker at top tier. For me, that's where the fun's at. That teamwork, that sort of working together aspect, and making the most of what you've got in terms of your plane and your opponent's plane. Remembering also that you get Silver Lions just for being active in a battle, and as you can see, I do, and that sort of thing holds up. You'll see it all plastered over my Twitter, getting plenty of Silver Lions for battle activity, and that's a fair chunk compared to a 4-kill game. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.